Hello again, this is vlog 2 for rock and roll, 50's rock and roll composition evaluation. So, to evaluate the composition as a piece of music, look at strengths and areas for improvement within the musical features. Right. What are the main stylistic features of rock and roll? Rock and roll, there's a certain feel to it. It's very very joyful. You know, you don't hear any sort of negative pieces. It's specifically created for dancing, so it's very upbeat and very quick, so it can be danced to. You know, a very fast tempo, general sort of theme about sort of things like love and youth and childhood, things like that. Very normally quite big band pieces, so you know, you had things like pianists and saxophone, horns, you know, bass, guitar, all that sort of jazz or rock and roll. Did you use these features in your composition? Where can they be clearly heard? Well, you know, we had sort of high keys and things like that. Quite loud vocals. You know, quite an upbeat tempo, and you know, things like that. We didn't have a bass, but you know, that was something that was a walking bass line. Yeah, they can be they can be heard in little bits, you know, that we had stop and, you know, we had response time, stab, you know, like little stab points, you know, stopping vocal and playing like that. How do they add to the success or downfall of the composition? Yeah, it was a success and downfall of the composition. Well, you know, we tried to tick it all off, whether we did or not, you know. You know, with little bits that made it a little bit more vibrant, if you like, and a bit more you know, flamboyant. So yeah, things like you know, like a guitar and key solo, you know, stop times, things like that. Very upbeat, swinging rhythm on the drums, yeah, and stuff like that. And they added to it, made it more, you know, made it stand out really. So the evaluation, identify 3 strengths of the composition. So I'd say one strength would be the call and response that we used. That was you know, that stood out at the beginning of the song. The the solo, so the keyboard solo was really good, and the you know, the guitar solo as well. And then another strength was, you know, the you know, it all came together really as a performance. It all, you know, it all worked, and it, you know, it all fit together, which was really good. Areas for improvement, I reckon one would be like the harmonies for vocals. You know, and things like that. If we had a sort of bass line or walking bass line, that would have been good. And you know, obviously the main one that I mentioned in the previous vlog would be tempo, because the tempo wasn't quick enough, and so it dragged out a bit longer than it really should have done. You know, things like that.